Welcome to Commander Pop Culture, a place to gather magical information with some laughs, might I add. Hello everyone. So you want to build Eriette the Beguiler. Well, I have a list for you. This list is only $85, so it's very budget friendly, and I think it's quite powerful for even at its low price. I'm not going to go over removal or card advantage ramp unless it offers a bit of a synergistic element. I'm going to be talking a lot about the synergy pieces. Something I want to warn you about playing and building this commander is your greatest weakness is going to be interaction at instant speed. My whole deck is about what I call stealing and beefing your opponent's boards. So you put an aura on someone else's creature, you get to steal it. And if it's equal or lesser CMC, and all my auras offer a stat increase, give you card advantage, and or increase stats. The worst thing your opponents can do to you, though, is if you go to enchant something and you don't have Eriette protected, they can kill your commander while your aura's on the stack, and then you just buff their creature or whatever it is that you're enchanting for free.
Risky scheme.
That is the worst feel bad that could happen. Don't go for an enchantment play when people have mana up. Don't go for an enchantment play if you don't have protection. That's my one piece of advice when piloting this deck. We're gonna go into a little bit about the removal. So like I have a lot of 1 mana removal spells, and that's because at 6 mana or greater, auras become obsolete. Auras at 6 or greater mana, they just steal control of something else, and that's already what your commander does, so it feels bad. And at that point, I'd rather just shoot something with a cheap removal spell. Like the only thing that's worth you playing above 6 mana that's an aura is the Eldrazi spell. It's a little out of budget. It's incredibly expensive, so I'm not running it. That's all I have to say about the removal. They're just efficient at what they do. Now for the sweet synergy pieces, the auras, because I have 37 enchantments in the deck. You should never run out of fun things to do. Alexi's Cloak. Something I want to mention about the protection pieces is that most of them are auras. So even if you have Eriette protected, you could use them on someone else's creature and steal it. So like I particularly chose as many auras that offer protection as I could, knowing that if you draw multiples, it's still good because you could use them offensively on other people's stuff. Greater Auramancy is just slightly better because the enchantments themselves are protected and the creatures that you're enchanting will also gain Shroud. Your opponents can't blow up your enchantments and get their creature back. Killing Eriette does not solve the problem. I think most people who don't read the fine print will think that, and they'll kill this thinking they're going to get their stuff back, but that's not the case. The moment the enchantment comes off is when you lose control of a particular card. This is a fun coupon. You get to play 4 coupons in this deck because of your color options. Hero Iroas is one of them. Killian the Duelist is super powerful because it's basically double the coupon. Starfield Mystic and Sten the Paranoid Partisan. You just choose enchantment on ETB and then your enchantments cost 1 less. In total with your mana rocks, you have 10 ramp and or coupon options. Core Spirit Dancer, this is probably a staple in card advantage. This lets you cantrip off your auras. Open the Armory, this lets you tutor for any aura for 2 mana. It's the best budget friendly tutor that you have in this deck in terms of efficiency. The runes are particularly great in this deck as well because they say enchant permanent, so that lets you enchant anything.
Anything? Yes, anything!
Something that I came to terms with is that most people play 2 or less mana rocks. So I didn't want to include too many auras with 2 mana. And since this is a budget deck, I'm going to be playing with a lot of casual players. They're going to be running a lot of big beefy dudes. So I made a rule for myself that if I was to have intentions of stealing creatures, then I'd like them to be 3 or greater mana. I made exceptions for the runes because I can steal mana rocks with them. They also cantrip, which is also really awesome. Other exception I made is if they protect your commander, like the Alexi's Cloak that we saw earlier. Sram Senior Artificer, this is another cantripper per aura you play, kind of like Core Spirit Dancer. The more fun enchantments, the stuff that like helps you win the game. Demonic Embrace, it's a really resilient aura. It lets you pay 3 life and discard a card to recast it from your graveyard. So even after this gets blown up or a creature that it's enchanting dies, you get it right back and keep your game plan humming. Fallen Ideal, this is another returnable, recurable aura. This one is particularly good because it has a sack outlet on it, so you could sack the creature you steal and bring this back in your hand and steal something better if you wanted to, or if you want to thin out your opponent's board, you can. Ghoulish Impetus, another recurable aura, and gives a stat increase and death touch. Griffin Guide, stat increase in flying, gives you a token. Hylia's Pilgrim, less efficient than Open Armory at tutoring, but it is a tutor nonetheless, and it's a blocker at its worst. And then you can soup it up with your auras if you got nothing else better to enchant. Evasion of Theros, another tutor. I've actually never played this, but since all of my auras give evasion, getting rid of this battle is pretty good and likely, and its backside is quite powerful. It's another cantripper whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield. It also has lifelink and indestructible if you control 3 or more enchantments. Mesa Enchantress, another staple. Pentarch Ward, Traveler's Cloak, and Unquestioned Authority give evasion and cantrip you a card. Shield by Faith is really fun. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you could reattach it to something else. The Eriette Beguiler doesn't care about enchanting things that way. It's a trigger based on attachment, which is really fun. Say someone plays a better 3-drop than the thing that you have, you could just move this over.
There's something better than this for you and
if your opponents already see that line, it forces them to hold it in their hands, and that is quite effective at stalling people's game plans. Sleeper's Guile gives fear and can be returned back to your hand. Vow of Flight, if worse should happen, and you know how I was talking about people could kill your commander in response to an aura, so they don't lose control of it. This would be the only time that you don't care about the rules I already went over, because it just straight up can't attack you. Even if the last opponent in play, it will still be neutered. Angelic Destiny, evasion, stat increase, and returns itself. Pretty darn strong. Flight of Fancy, this one lets you draw 2 cards, gives something flying. Holy Mantle, +2/+2, and pro creatures. Retether, this is your recovery, like post board wipes. Sage's Riviera, this is your big card draw spell, and it also gives a really scary stat increase. +2/+2, flying and vigilance. Songbird's Blessing. When I tutor for an aura, this is the thing you get because it gives you some sick card advantage. Lets you reveal auras from the top of your library and enchant something in play, so it's really sweet card advantage. Take Flight, this one gives stat increase, evasion, and card advantage. All 3 of your desirable effects. Stat increase and unblockable. This one gives evasion, a stat increase, and protection, so if you want to enchant your own area with this, that's also an option. Pretty darn flexible. Zero the Enchanter. This is another one of your tutors. Lets you search for any enchantment that's 3 or less that includes your auras and put it into the battlefield. Astral Wingspan, card advantage, flying, and stat increase. This is one of my more fun cards. Because it's more expensive, you obviously want to be stealing a more expensive creature. And then on upkeep, you get to make token copies of the thing you steal. Fool's Demise. This is a really fun one in that it gets returned to your hand, but also if the enchanted creature dies, it gets returned back under your control.
I never lost control.
It's really bad for your opponents. Righteous Authority. Card advantage piece, stat increase, Spectral Ward, protection and increase, and I guess it's evasion too. Doesn't remove any auras that are already attached, so if you want to go with the Voltron strategy, that's also a very flexible piece to this deck. If you wanted to do that, say there are no creatures in play, you could just stockpile Eriette and just finish people off the Voltron way. Sphere of Safety makes it so your opponents can't attack you based on whatever enchantments you have in play. Winds of Wrath, a one-sided board wipe where you destroy all non-enchanted creatures. Open the vaults for another big recovery piece. That is the end of the list. I hope you all enjoyed. I've done 3 deck techs before this, and I'm going to be doing a lot of gameplay. I've decided that I'll break up featuring of the decks in play and deck building up, where I'll do 4 deck techs, then I'll play those 4 decks and repeat that until I play all 12 commanders that I really liked from this set. It's unusual for me to like 12 commanders from a single set, but this set is just, I think, wild for the commander community. If you want to influence the decks I play and build in order, you could still do that. You can go into my community tab and that will influence the order and build that I play. Since I've already done the first highest 4. That leaves you with the bottom 8 that you could still manipulate and vote for what you want. If you liked what you saw, you enjoyed, and you stayed this long, subscribe, because I'm going to be doing tons of more content in the future. Everyone take care now. Bye.